Hey, good people. Hey, good people. Guys, I am checking in with you all because I have not given you an update in a while on what's happening with my garden. Lots of great things, and I'm going to show you. Hey, listen, I also hope that everyone is safe. This is the third week for me in this quarantine fever because of COVID-19 on lockdown, but I'm getting lots of things done by being indoors. I hope you guys are safe and you're not going too stir crazy. This is the perfect utopia for me. I'm an instinctive introvert. It does not mean that I don't like to be around people. It just simply means that I recharge well by myself. Okay? Okay. All right. Let me show you guys what's going on. Let me turn this around for you. All right. Let's start over here. Okay. So over here are some peppers that I've been growing. This is a skunk red, and this is something called Kraken. It looks like I've got 4 of those going, which is amazing. Only one wanted to germinate for me over here. Then I've got some thyme, some oregano, then the echinacea. Echinacea, the seeds this year were kind of hit or miss for me. I can't remember how many I planted, but not all of them germinated. So I still have some in the pots coming in down here. That's where they started. And then I transitioned some to the bigger pots to give them some more spaces. My jalapenos are doing absolutely nothing. However, hot peppers tend to germinate better in hot temperatures, 70 degrees and above. So I'm going to give them a little time. Not going to give up on them completely. Then I have some cucumbers. And guys, let me tell you about this right here. Let me come on over here. This is a lemon basil. It smells amazing and it's growing really good. And you see, it's just reaching up there trying to get to that light. It's just a reaching. And then I have some more cucumbers over here growing by themselves, and these are growing really good. I got some new leaves popping up in there, which is exciting. Coming down to the next rack, this is some lettuce. So I have about 6 trays of lettuce. Hey, Marlene, how you doing? Then I come on over here and I have my kale that's growing. I want to say, I don't know, I think this is a regular kale. I also have a curly kale around here somewhere. Then I have a whole large tray over here, guys. I have way too much kale in college, but that's okay because it's going to give me the opportunity to give some things away. But the kale is growing. You see how these leaves are folded up like this? I love it because they're reaching towards the light. Or the imitation sun, which is beautiful. You can tell this is going to be some kale. This might be the curly kale. Yeah, this is a curly kale right here. It's growing. I have so many pods. I'm going to be able to share and give those away. And I'll show you why I have so many in a moment. Then we drop down here to the third tray. And I have some more hot peppers that are growing in. Again, I wasn't sure if these hot peppers were going to grow because they prefer a hotter heat. And this is a whole tray of spinach, and that is doing so good. Marlene, and I will give you some of the kale. Yes, I will. And then the last tray I have indoors, this is some more lettuce that I will be growing. I'm going to need my lettuce, going to need my greens, because I don't know what the grocery store is doing, right? So this is the setup. I'll step back so you can see the whole setup. That's the setup growing underneath the lights indoors, and on top I have a spread of things that I'm going to lay out eventually. I'm gonna do some peppermint. I'm gonna directly sow those outside with the cilantro, the rosemary, chamomile, and then the lemon balm. I'm not going to start these indoors. I'm going to start them outside. Then I'm going to do something I've never done before. I don't typically mess with flowers. Flowers are not my jam, but I'm going to try these beautiful sunflowers. I got a couple of varieties to see what works best. Like this one is a container variety, guys. But I want to grow some of those big, huge sunflowers that you see. I'm going to try and grow those in the corn patch. And then I saw these cute little daisies. Again, I don't do flowers. Don't know why I picked them up. I do, because they say perennial. That means they'll grow each year and I don't have to do anything to them. Another thing, I'm a direct sow once the weather gets better, right after Mother's Day. The cucumbers, the beans, and the watermelon. I might start these indoors. Something new I've never done before is garlic. I'm going to throw these around the perimeter of the one bed that I have down on the ground, and I'm going to attempt for the first time ever to try and do garlic. So I'll probably sow those this weekend. But it doesn't end there. I started some things outside, and I want to show you what I did. Now, I am a container grower. Typically, I prefer to grow my things in containers. So let me show you what I got going on out here. Okay, so this is the first thing I did was a tower. Up top, I have this lettuce. Now, what I didn't know was this lettuce is going to grow like a ball in the middle, kind of like you would see an iceberg lettuce, that little round ball. It's going to grow in there. This container is not going to be able to hold that, so I'm going to end up digging this out over the weekend and repotting this so that it has room to grow. It's not enough room. That's definitely not enough room for it to grow in a container. This is I'm gonna say it wrong. Arugula. That's what this is. An arugula. This is an arugula. This whole I have 6 sections of arugula growing, and then at the bottom 3 containers I have strawberries. These are cold weather variety vegetables, so they grow really well in the cool. The strawberries not so much. They can just handle the cool weather, and once the warmer weathers come in, the strawberries are going to be popping, baby, popping. Over here I have some more lettuce. Hello, Mr. Wasp. Go somewhere because we don't play. Y'all see my bed down there? That's where the corn, the squash, and the beans are going to go. That's the one bed I have. So this is lettuce. 2 different types of lettuce here. And here I have some other lettuce that I put seed directly into the soil, and I'm just waiting for it to pop up. And then the bottom rack, I have some spinach, which is coming along very nicely. Again, these are cool weather plants. They grow really good in the cool weather. All right. Something I've just never done before are berry bushes. I found these at Costco. No, I'm sorry, Home Depot and Lowe's. And I said, well, let me try these because these will grow flowers and draw me some pollinators, and pollinators make the garden happy. And finally, let's go on over here to the row. Trying to make it up as I go. So these 2 containers on the end, these are a Chinese cabbage. All right. Then the whole top row right here in the black fabric bags, these are the curly kale. I'm going to have to do something because the wind is fierce up here, and it's already broken off a few of my leaves. You see that? See that damage? But I have something for that. Then I have collards. Yes, honey. Yes. Gonna grow my own collards. And then again, down here on the ends, I have 2 Chinese cabbages that I'm growing. And for these are going to grow a nice little ball in the middle. But it's not going to be a ball. It's actually going to be long and tall. It's a Chinese cabbage. Something I've never done before, and something I wanted to try. I like to try at least one thing new, but this year I'm doing a whole lot of new things. There's a fern. I'm going to put that on the porch when it comes time. But this is what I've done so far. Kale is growing. Collards are growing really well. Now, there's this one little thing. There's this one thing I'm going to have to do, and I'm going to have to put tulle over top of the kale and the collard, and I'll snap a picture and post that later for you all, because there's this little white moth or butterfly that floats around, but it is a nemesis. So what happens with this little white moth, and they are plenteous around here right now, they do not die. The pesticide does not kill them, kills the butterflies, kills the bees, but this is a resilient little white butterfly. Oh my gosh. It lays what's known as a cabbage worm. that cabbage worm will destroy your collards. This wind is very disrespectful out here. The that little white butterfly is going to destroy your collard, your kale, your broccoli, your lettuce. It will munch on all of that. So what I'm going to do is put a white tulle sheet over top of my kale and my collard out here. That's going to cover it, and one, it's going to protect it from the wind, and it's also going to protect it from the white butterfly. This little white butterfly, I'm telling you, all it has to do is lay its little eggs, and they're like baby kids, y'all. They multiply. They do not die. Woo. Okay, so I'm going back in. I've given you all the nitty gritty of what's going on my deck. I've decided to do most of my container things on top of my deck and not on the ground, just because I don't know what's going to happen around here. Okay. All right. Okay. So the stuff is up on the deck. It's secluded. It's out of the hands and the way of people. But that's how the garden is going so far. I'm getting ready to cover up my cabbage and my kale. I'll snap a picture of the tool so you can see it. It's going to protect my vegetation from the wind because the seedlings are so small, as well as prevent the white butterfly from laying its eggs. Now listen, so this is what I like to do, guys. So you see I already got cabbage and kale and collards already growing, but then I also have a whole ream indoors that's still growing. It's not strong enough to go outside. So the kale and the cabbage that's out there right now, over the next 2 months, it's going to grow. Probably in June, it'll be time for it to harvest. These seedlings right here, they're going to stay indoors for another month. They'll grow all of April. I'll be able to set them out in May. They will start producing. They go out in May, June, July. I'll always have something to be able to harvest. And then I'm going to start another round indoors, so that since these are cool weather plants and they grow best in the cool, they'll grow throughout the summer, but the heat kind of makes the plant more bitter. A little more, you'd be like, something wrong with this. But no, it's just that it was grown during the summer, and collards, kales, and cabbage don't necessarily do well with that type of heat. And you might just find that the leaf is a little bit bitter, and it also might grow slower, but that's okay. It's still edible. We mix it up. We can add some seasoning on there. We'll make it work, right? So the idea is to always have something constantly growing. So even though I have my first round of echinacea coming up now, in another 2 months, I'm going to plant another group of echinacea, just so I always have something coming. Same thing with all of my herbs. That's what I'm going to end up doing. Excuse me, because remember the collards and the kale, they're going to go great through the fall. So you'll be able to harvest these throughout, depending on where you live. For me here in DC, I'll probably be able to harvest these, if I do it correctly, right through January. And that's going to be awesome. Thanks, guys, for checking in and watching what's going on in my world. Bye.